How do you save money at the pump? Well, you can take a bus, carpool, or move to Venezuela where gas is around 3 cents a liter. Or you could purchase one of these little cuties that gets 61 miles per gallon in the city. But would you believe there's a car that will take you from Halifax to Vancouver on 1 tank of gas?
Here's the car, and I use the term loosely. It looks more like a coffin on wheels, and that's what it would probably become if you tried to drive it on regular streets.
But do you see cars heading in this kind of direction?
Yeah, actually, really on the road, you can see the cars are getting more and more streamlined and curvaceous.
More aerodynamic?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it is really cool looking, though.
The car was built by a team of student engineers from the University of British Columbia for one purpose only: to win the annual Supermileage competition that takes place in Marshall, Michigan every year. It's an event run by the International Society of Automotive Engineers.
To keep the weight down, we actually make it as thin as possible, so it's a little bit on the flimsy side, which is why we can't run on the road quite yet. Right, sounds good.
So what kind of engine is this?
So this is pretty much your standard lawnmower engine when you start off.
Okay.
And it's a 3.5 horsepower Briggs & Stratton engine. And we get it, and as students, we're supposed to make it more fuel efficient. So we go through the process of looking at all the parts and the design. There's a lot of different technical areas that really affect the car, such as aerodynamics, the engine performance, the rolling resistance of the wheels.
They build everything. They start with the design, the aerodynamic body. They would design the mechanical systems, things like the steering system, things like the chassis. Then they will look at what kind of modifications are to be done to the engine.
And it isn't just the car that needs fine-tuning for the competition.
It's a bit like being a jockey, isn't it?
I had to try to keep my weight down. I was 135 pounds, and the minimum weight they allow is 130, so I wanted to drop my weight a little bit. So sometimes I would have to skip lunches in order to try to keep my weight down.
UBC has been competing at the Supermileage event since 2001.
This one student, Robert Mahaffey, started this team with another guy named Brian Jung, and they thought it would be a good way to give students, a hands-on tool to take everything they learned from a classroom and apply it in real life to a real project, and something where there's almost like real-life consequences.
The competition isn't a piece of cake. UBC goes up against some of the finest young engineering minds from Ivy League schools across the U.S. But you can be proud of our BC boys. After their second year, they've won every competition, beating schools like MIT. But would the 2006 team be successful in continuing the winning streak?
Really, the main goal of the competition is to use as little gas as possible. And what that means is actually driving more conservatively. So the speeds of the vehicle will usually be around 30 kilometers per hour on average. And you have about 6 to 8 vehicles on a closed track, and they're just cruising along, and after they complete 6 laps, they'll finish their run, and the judges will weigh how much fuel they used, and they can extrapolate the score.
The team not only won the competition, they set a new record with an incredible mileage of 3,145 miles to the gallon.
Just focused on progressing the team from year to year and evolving our design.
We won first place in the collegiate class, so what that gets you is a $1,000 US prize, as well as this trophy here, and all the bragging rights, of course, against the other teams.
The UBC team were so pleased with this experience, they decided to enter a similar competition in Japan a few months later. Here they would be up against professionals, not students. The rules would also differ.
they have a clean slate for the engine, so you can start off with whatever engine you want, which gives them an advantage in a way because they can start from the ground up with a very efficient engine and modify it from there, whereas we have to start off with a very large, inefficient engine and go from there.
UBC placed 7th in Japan, which was no small accomplishment for their first time out in this new arena.
It kind of opened our eyes to new ideas and, new ways that we can improve our car. We kind of reached a plateau at the American competition, so this Japan competition really opened our eyes to that next step.
With UBC's track record, it shouldn't be long before they're bringing home trophies from Japan.
Might need to scoop your bum forward a little bit.
Yeah, I should have done more yoga.
A tip from me, though, there's one area of their car's design that could use a little more work.
It's not exactly comfortable, Kevin.
It's not the most comfortable. We're working on that. Every year it gets a little bit more comfortable. Okay, we're coming over. Yeah, I think we're ready to go.
It's really fun.